We've all heard of haunted houses, but have you ever heard of a haunted ship? Stay with us. Hi, I'm Allie. I'm on my second coffee because my kitchen spoon just vanished this morning. I swear it blinked out of this dimension.
Or you put it in the freezer again, which you did last week, by the way. I'm Brianne, and I brought sensible tea and 0 missing cutlery.
Welcome to the Veil, Unsolved and Unbelievable, where we drink caffeine and chase the weird, and apparently my spoons. Okay, so check this out. Today we're diving into the Costa Concordia disaster, January 2012 off Isola del Giglio, Italy. A cruise ship does a close shore pass, hits a charted reef called Lascaux, and what follows is part tragedy, part engineering epic, and maybe, just maybe, something the sea was trying to say.
I mean, it's a textbook case of human error and an insane salvage operation. Paranormal, though. Sorry, not sorry. I'm skeptical already.
Here's what went down. The ship left Civitavecchia that evening with over 3,200 passengers and about 1,000 crew. Around 21:42 to 21:45, it deviated for a shore-hugging salute near Giglio, and the port side tore open on Scola Piccola, the most seaward rock of Lascaux. That reef was on the charts. Waves were literally breaking over it. The impact ripped long strips of steel that divers later found on the seabed. Water flooded the generators and engines. Power died. Backup power failed too. Suddenly, you've got a massive ship in the dark. No reliable instruments. No comms like normal. And it starts to heel and drift. By 22:44, it's grounded on a ledge near Punta Gabbianara, heeled hard to starboard, roughly 70 degrees. That ledge kept it from sliding into deep water, but it turned the decks into cliffs.
And people were told at first it was just an electrical fault. Some were even sent back to their cabins. That's nightmare logistics in a multilingual environment with a listing hull. Then the abandoned ship order comes at 22:50, and launching lifeboats off the high side gets nearly impossible as the angle grows.
Right. Roughly 600 passengers had just embarked and hadn't had their muster drill yet. That added confusion. Helicopters started hoisting people off the slanted decks. Local boats and ferries shuttled survivors to shore. The Italian Coast Guard, Navy, firefighters, everyone piled in. There's that infamous call where Captain Gregorio De Falco orders Captain Francesco Schettino to return to the ship. Schettino had already left by around 23:30. Later he claimed he fell into a lifeboat. He never went back.
And courts weighed that heavily. He was convicted of manslaughter and got 16 years. The company faced civil fallout and public fury, but it faced no criminal charges.
Fatalities totaled 32 from the initial disaster, plus a Spanish diver who died in 2014 during salvage. The rescue itself ran about 6 hours to get the vast majority off. After that, divers went into pitch-black interiors, tying guidelines, stashing extra air, literally banging on metal to find anyone still alive. They even used explosives to open new access points. Constant pauses when the wreck shifted or weather cracked up. Environmental stakes were huge. Giglio sits inside the Pelagos Sanctuary for Mediterranean marine mammals. Early February, high winds even lifted oil booms briefly and an oily sheen got out. Defueling became priority number 1. Teams hot-tapped thousands of tons of fuel, pumping warmed oil out while backfilling with seawater to keep the wreck stable. The work finished in March 2012 without a major spill.
EMSA had a response vessel on standby, and ISPRA's research ship did environmental surveys the whole time. They even moved about 200 protected fan mussels by hand to get them out of the construction zone. Not mystical, just meticulous biology and logistics.
Then comes the wildest engineering chapter. The wreck was declared a constructive total loss. Salvors chose to refloat and remove the ship whole rather than cut it up there. Titan Salvage and Michael Perry built a massive underwater platform. Then, in September 2013, they parbuckled the ship upright. It moved at under 2 degrees per hour, cable by cable. And when it hit the critical angle, they flooded portside sponsons to help roll it. Unreal to watch. After righting, they attached starboard sponsons, dewatered them in July 2014 to add buoyancy, refloated and towed the wreck to Genoa. The tow left in July 2014 and arrived a few days later. Dismantling finished in July 2017. About 53,000 tons of material were recycled. Post-wreck seabed cleanup at Giglio kept going into 2018. The salvage alone cost about $1.2 billion. Total costs were near $2 billion. All right, moving on. Here's my theory, and I own that it's mine. Giglio sits in whale country, and locals talk about a winter chorus you feel in your ribs when the big ones pass deep. I think the sea was singing that night, a kind of warning, and the ship answered back with a tragically on-the-nose echo, because multiple passengers said, "My Heart Will Go On" was playing in the dining hall around the time of impact. Isn't that bananas?
It's eerie, I'll give you that. But eerie is not evidence. Correlation is not causation, you know.
Back to the story. Picture the approach. Breakers flashing white over Lascaux. A giant hull sliding in the dark with alarms turned off because the captain said he was navigating by sight. My theory is the Pelago Sanctuary has its own choir. Under the rotors, under the radio orders, you still get this low hum. Then boom, steel tears, lights go, music cuts. People yelling from tilted decks sound like a fractured chorus. Even later, when storms lifted the oil boom and a sheen slipped out, islanders said the sanctuary was warning us.
Or alternate hypothesis, high winds lifted a boom because winter exists, and people attributed meaning after the fact. Sorry, I call BS on supernatural agency there.
Hear me out. The salvage looked like ritual to folks on shore. They removed the funnel. They bolted vast sponsons on like metal lungs. Divers made 50-minute pilgrimages inside, leaving extra air like votive candles. They even relocated the great fan muscles by hand, cradling them away. The island watched and, kind of treated the whole ordeal like a pact with the sea. Then the parbuckling. The ship rolled upright, the ledge let go, and the humming quieted. Maybe whales left, or maybe the sea had said its piece.
Let's move on to debunking. First, the rock was charted and visible. Waves were breaking on it. Recovered hull plating was found right where you'd expect. Second, Schettino admitted he turned off the navigation alarm and ordered the turn late. He was navigating by sight at night near known hazards. That removes a key safety layer. Third, early calls to the harbour master downplayed damage as an electrical blackout. That delay squandered minutes for coordinated response. Fourth, the ship lost propulsion and power. It drifted. Coast Guard testimony later suggested the final grounding may have been because of prevailing winds and drift, not some deliberate beeline. Fifth, rapid starboard heel made lifeboats on the high side unusable. That's basic geometry and gravity, not sirens. And remember, roughly 600 people hadn't had the muster drill, so confusion was baked in. Put that together, and you have a complete causal chain without needing the sea to sing anything.
I get all that, but the timing, the Titanic song, and the way locals describe that low winter hum, they're just too on the nose. It feels like the sanctuary tapping the hull and saying, "Not here, not tonight." My brain goes there.
And my brain goes to bridge resource management, distraction on the bridge, language barriers, the maitre d' and a guest up there during a critical approach, reports that the captain was asking for radar checks. Then he leaves the ship while hundreds are still aboard and gets told in very colourful language to go back. The horror is human. The rescue was human. The salvage, led by Nick Sloan and a small army, was engineering and environmental science. That's more than enough story.
So why do we reach for the supernatural after disasters? I think we're trying to stitch meaning onto chaos. The story helps us hold the grief without dropping it.
Pattern-seeking brains, agency detection, and control. If the sea has a will, then we can bargain with it. If it's random human failure, that's scarier. So yeah, people listen for choirs. I listen for checklists.
If you want to go deeper, we both recommend a solid documentary on maritime disasters that digs into human error, bridge teamwork, and evacuation science. It's not woo, it's real lessons learned. Weekend plans. I'm avoiding cruises, obviously. Maybe a lake, a very small, very calm lake.
Staying on land with a book and a spoon I can actually find. Thanks for listening. Keep your minds open and question everything.
We'll see you next time on The Veil. And if your kitchen starts singing the Titanic theme, maybe don't do a sail-by salute of your countertops. Bye.